What happens when we die? Is there an afterlife? Do we go to heaven? Or even worse, hell? Can we communicate with the dead? And if we can, should we? Let's find out.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 19 of San Pedro Paranormal. I'm here with my co-host, as always, Carlos, aka the technician. I am Tony, aka the communicator. I still don't understand why I'm called the communicator,
because you can communicate with
I communicate with nothing. I haven't been doing no EVPs, no nothing. But you know what? Today's episode is going to be, as the title on the video probably says, it's going to be about relics. And we did some extensive research, like watching Indiana Jones and stuff. Yeah, but so why don't we start today? Let's start off with what's going on in our lives. What's going on in your life, Carlos?
And everything's good right now. Just hanging out the house. I went to Fat Burger today. Got myself a nice hamburger. Went with my dad and had a good time. Went for a little cruise.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been craving a good hamburger and fries. And Fat Burger is a place to be. It's not a paid promotion, by the way.
Yeah, we're not. But you know what was it? Wasn't it Hamburger Day or something yesterday or something?
Was it?
I think so.
I'm always behind a day, I guess. I just missed it.
Yeah, you know what? I actually went to Burger King yesterday because my daughter told me that it was that whole burger thing and that they were doing discounts everywhere. So, anyways, I went and I'm like, so what's the special? They're like 2 Whoppers for $6, and I'm like, wait a second, what's the regular price on Whoppers? $3.50. So you save like 50 cents or something. But
wow.
Anyways. But you know what? Talking about food, I actually had, I ate at one of my, well, I didn't eat there, but I got some food, some takeout at one of my favorite places here in San Pedro. And I know you've been there, Carlitos, is Dominic's Pizza up on Western. And, they have a Mexican pizza that I've actually made it at home, but, to make it's a long process, so I'd rather just pay the $30 for it. But anyway, shout out to Dominic's Pizza. Great Mexican
so delicious.
Pizza. Yeah.
Really good meatballs too. Delicious.
Oh, yeah. So if you live here in San Pedro, you know what we're talking about. But if you don't, and you I think there's one in Carson too, right? In the city of Carson.
Yeah, there's one in Carson.
Yeah.
The one we have is up on Western. I forget what the cross street is, but it's right there next to Smart and Final.
Smart and Final. Yeah, but if you guys haven't tried it and you live somewhere close to San Pedro, try it. It's really good. But and we're not getting paid by Dominic's to say that. But yeah, so and we are drinking. We are drinking again. Yeah, but anyways, Carlito. So about getting back to the topic. What did you find out about these relics? I mean, what was the biggest one that you research?
Well, the biggest one, I think we should save that for last, and that's a relic that just disappeared out of the history books.
I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
But I did find other little things that we can find, other relics that we can probably talk about just briefly. And I have a list here. There's, for example, the Buddha's tooth, the fairy flag of Dunvegan.
What's the Buddhist tooth? What is that? The
Buddhist tooth?
Is it an actual tooth?
It's a tooth, and the tooth actually belonged to the Buddhist monk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when Buddha passed away, I guess he was poisoned or so. His body was cremated.
Okay.
And when his body was being cremated, someone stole one of his, I believe it was a canine, the left canine. One of his followers just took it. And that's pretty much that tooth is a symbol now of, I guess, of power. Whoever owns that tooth becomes like a rightful heir of some sort of a place. And right now, I think the tooth might be in Sri Lanka, but I'm not too sure about that.
Okay.
So what's amazing about this too, not only does it make you become the next ruler, or it also brings I guess some sort of like peace or tranquility to certain things, but this tooth actually hasn't stopped growing. Supposedly this thing is constantly just every year, I don't know what exactly, but it's just constantly just growing.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's not a very pretty tooth either.
So I mean, is there any kind of proof that this is actually the tooth of this Buddhist or monk or whatever?
Yeah, right. It's one of those things where who knows what happened, if it's the original, if there ever was a tooth, if it's the original tooth. This thing has changed so many hands from one ruler to another person. Snuck out of one country into another until it finally ended up where it's at now. So kind of knowing if it's the real one or not, it's actually going to be a question for all of these relics that we're going to come across today.
Yeah.
Is it going to be the real thing or not?
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Well, you know what? I was actually looking online to looking for like the top. I think it was like the top 5 relics. Well, at least on this website. And the one that I found the most interesting, besides the one you're going to talk about at the end of this video, was the one they found in Egypt. Remember the one that looks like a little gold airplane?
Oh, okay.
Remember
now,
that?
You know what? This part totally just I totally glanced over this. I know what you're talking about. This little gold airplane.
Yeah.
Supposedly is related to some sort of alien or some sort of maybe a visitor or so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean it's not only the little gold airplane. There's also like what do you call the stuff they used to write on those walls, like carve out? What are those things called?
Oh, right.
Hieroglyphics or.
Yeah, exactly.
They have them on those too, like these little they look like ships, either airplanes or some kind of ship where somebody's flying up in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that really because it kind of mixes the whole alien thing into the, I know we talked about aliens on the last episode, but yeah,
it's
so
very, very relatable. Small little. How big were they? About 3 inches or 2 inches, or were they a lot larger than that?
No, I think they were small, like 3 inches.
They were small.
Yeah,
almost looked like a toy, from what I recall from my memory. And yes, it did. It had the shape of a bullet with a little bit with little wings coming out of it. And in the video that I remember watching, it was related to some sort of visitors that probably gave them that imagery, or maybe they saw it from maybe some sort of a time traveler.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's crazy because there was on the top 5 relics on this website, there was other ones where they found these little discs, like a small disc in China. And they also have these beings that look like aliens, and they have all this writing on them that when they had people that could figure out what it says on the discs. They found out that it was a story of travelers from another world. So yeah, that's crazy. I mean, and it's not just there. I think also the Mayans, in their drawings too, they have these these ships up in the sky, and so who knows?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, is what kind of language was on that little disc, and do you recall?
All I know is that they had to get those people that I forgot what they call them, but they decipher like symbols and all this stuff.
Like a code breakers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. That's pretty neat. I gotta look that up again.
Yeah, so
that's pretty cool.
And you know what? In the Egyptian stuff, there's a lot of stuff that even some of the, I don't know if you've ever watched on the Ancient Aliens, that show on TV.
Mm-hmm.
They'll talk about how a lot of these drawings there's being humans mixed with animals or they're beings that even with some of the mummified bodies they've dug out. They're these people were some of these people were really tall, not like regular size like everybody else. So they're thinking that maybe they were mixed, these beings came down and mixed with the humans, and
Right.
Kind of like what happened in the Bible. I don't know if you remember this,
Yeah.
about
Right, yeah.
these angels that came down and reproduced with human women, and they ended up having giants.
And one of the giants was David versus Goliath, right? He was
Yeah.
supposedly
Well, yeah, the
one of
giants
those,
that he fought.
mhm.
Yeah, and what do
It
they
was,
call? They call these giants the Nephilim, I think, or something like that.
I forget the names. I'm pretty bad, but yes, he supposedly he was a half human, half angel, and that's why he was so tall.
Yeah. So I mean, half human, half alien, right? So kind of. So
Watch out, Sigourney Weaver.
yeah. So I mean, it's crazy because I mean, it's not just with the Egyptians; it's also with the Mayans, and then in China, the whole thing with the discs. So who knows? Maybe they're already here with us too. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what was the one you were talking about? You were talking about the tooth, right?
What was that? I'm
The
sorry?
all-powerful tooth.
The all-powerful tooth of Buddha. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was snuck out of different countries. It was sent to one king, and it just resides now in a little monastery with a lot of other relics from Buddha. I think there were some they look like little fish eggs, but they're tiny little pearls. And supposedly these things came out also when the Buddha was cremated. These little things are held also there. It's kind of strange little balls. They're kept in a container.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of other artifacts that he owned. And when people go in there to visit this area, they get a sense of being one with the Buddha.
Ah.
And they're at peace and they're tranquil.
Yeah.
Which one can say of all these other relics that I'll be talking about later.
Well, you know what?
It's 'cause-
It's kind of like the discs that they found in China. These supposedly when they studied them, I guess they try to do some kind of electric test on them or something, and they would get like a weird vibrations coming out of the discs. And what they were thinking, I forgot what the name of the guy that was doing the research on it was. His name was, but what he thinks is that there was some kind of they were able to communicate with these discs somehow, that it would really, like if you put a certain vibration into it, it would release certain information. But
Like you're opening up a certain channel by using a frequency.
yeah.
And that channel has some sort of information on there. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of these relics that were mentioned online too. Supposedly, there was one that was, I think, a nuclear reactor from back in the day. You know, just it looks like it's just made out of rocks and I don't know, but supposedly you were able to create some kind of a power from it. But hey, you never know. What if all these ancient civilizations were more advanced than us? You know, because when we think about technology, we think, okay, computers, chips, and all this. But what if there's a way to harness energy and everything in like in nature, like rocks and things like that?
Right, and maybe there's some sort of a lost translation or lost use of tools or any loss of science.
Yeah.
Maybe something was created a long time ago, but it was lost because of war or maybe people were wiped out, and that's kind of lost, like a lost technology.
Yeah. The city of Atlantis.
Right.
But anyways, Carlito, so what else do you have? What else did you find out, studying with Dr. Jones?
Dr. Jones. I forget the actual powers. I think it's this other thing called the Veil of Veronica. So Veronica was when Jesus was being sent out to get crucified, he was carrying his cross, and this lady, I believe, might be Veronica, I'm not sure, put this cloth over Jesus' face and removed the sweat and blood. And Jesus Christ went away crucified, but when she looked at the veil, it had his face on there. Now this relic, I'm not sure if I have to look it up and see, but I believe it gave certain powers to heal people, remove illness, and to help people out like that, and remove any kind of a disease or whatever it may be.
So do they have pictures of this online?
Of the veil,
Uh-huh.
there's images that are connected to it, but I'm not sure if this is the real deal again, like what we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, any of these things could be fake, right? It could be just some person that made it up just to get some kind of attention or fame out of it.
Right. Right. Like the Vatican has one version of it, and there's other places that have in Vienna that have it, and it's just who knows what it is. But it's just knowing that it's kind of fascinating knowing that there's that thing out there that has that power to do that, to heal and to remove some sort of sickness and whatnot, and it has Jesus' face on it.
Yeah. Well, almost like in the Indiana Jones movie. Which one was it? I think it was the third one where they want to find the cup, right? And if you drink out of it, like it heals you and.
Right, that was a test. Right?
I mean that's not real, right? Or is it? Is that like a relic? The cup of
Indiana Jones?
No, the cup. That whole cup thing.
He had the Last Supper, right? Mm-hmm. Christ drank out of a cup, and some people say it wasn't really a cup. It could have been maybe even like a bowl, some sort of chalice.
That's right.
But no one really knows. But we just see it as the cup, and. Going back to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the evil guys finally catches Indiana Jones while he's inside that chamber where the Knights Templar, the last remaining brothers, at. And the thing is to go look at all those holy grails and pick out the one. Make sure you choose wisely. Pick out the cup that you want.
Yeah.
Drink drink the water from it. It'll give you life. But if you choose the wrong one, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And of course, the villain goes in there and he's like, "Give me that. I'm gonna choose one." And he lets the girl choose it. She goes, "Oh, this is the one right here. I can feel it." And it's it's a nice golden what do you call it cup with a very fancy, but he drinks out of that one and he dies, right?
Yeah.
But then it's Indiana Jones' turn, and when he grabs it, he's like, "Oh yeah, Jesus was a carpenter. He wasn't a rich man. He wasn't nothing about being fancy." So he grabs a regular, like a modest looking cup, and he drinks with that, and that's how he becomes healed, and he cures his dad with a problem.
That's right. Oh yeah, he heals his dad because his dad had gotten shot or something.
Yes. Yeah. He was shot by the Nazi guy because he wanted Jones to go in there and retrieve the cup at a prompt time.
Yeah. And you know what? Speaking of that movie, the third movie, I don't know if you ever watched. They actually made like a spoof version of that on a regular show. Where did you ever watch Regular Show? No. Oh, you gotta watch it. Look for it on YouTube. Look for it on YouTube. They copy a lot of like these old school movies, but they do an Indiana Jones one where they're trying to find, but it's not the cup. They're trying to find the trucker's hat. And so he finds the last, the guy protecting the hats, and he's all like, choose wisely. And so there's the guy that's dead. There's a skeleton of someone that had chosen before him, and he picked this crown full of diamonds, and it's made of gold, and he died. So then he's all like, "Oh, a trucker's hat." So he finds like, the hat with the little holes in the back, the netted back, and he's like, "It's this one," and he puts it on. He's like, "Your choice is excellent." I love Regular Show, but yeah. So the cup thing isn't real, right? That's not a real thing, like a relic or anything like that. Sometimes these movies, you watch these movies like Indiana Jones, where the first one was, it was kind of based like on some real things, from the Bible, and then they have this one, the third one, where it's just, I think that's all just make believe, right? So sometimes I get confused. I'm like, which one's real, which one's not? But
yeah. I mean, the movies are very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if it was true. Just like the fourth one where they're looking for those alien. Oh, you know what? I think the fourth one is kind of based on something real, right? Where they're looking for these the alien skulls, the glass skulls or something.
Yeah.
Come on, Carlitos.
Those are relics. Yes. These, what were they supposed to be originally? 13 skulls or so, and they're all buried in different parts of the world. I think most of them were found in Africa, right?
Yeah.
And I guess depending on what skull it is, some of them can give you a certain thing of life, and the other ones that can actually kill you, and it'll be certain death. But yeah, it's pretty neat. Again, that's probably related to aliens also.
Yeah, and I know that one. I think I saw it on Ancient Aliens where they were talking about this, how supposedly these skulls could never be handmade because they're so perfect that there's no it couldn't have been done by hand or with the old technology. You know, maybe now
That's
with like
right.
some kind of laser cutter, but back then it wouldn't have been possible. But I mean, again, like you said, you know, it could be all fake. I mean, I wish it was
Right.
true.
Like they would have said with like the Mayan temples and so forth, that the blocks and everything else would be had to be cut with a laser, and you have to bring all kinds of heavy equipment up to the top in order to build what was up there at that time.
Yeah.
But to find these skulls and the shape that they are in, it's like no, it's beyond their technology back then for a regular man to do that.
Yeah. And you know what? That movie, the fourth one with Shia LaBeouf, you know, it got a lot of you know, bad reviews and stuff. But I mean, the story was actually pretty cool. I like that ending where they get the skulls, they put them all together, and the spaceship comes out of the ground, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then he hid in a refrigerator when the bomb went
that's
out.
right. That's right. Yeah, but anyways, yeah. So there's that. The whole alien. The glass. They're glass or are they stone? They're glass, right? Like some kind of glass.
It's like it's a crystal.
Crystal.
Yeah,
That's
glass
right,
crystal. Yeah. Very, very durable too, right? Not that many, no cracks on it or anything like that, if I recall.
Yeah.
I think Dan Aykroyd has a pretty good talk with Joe Rogan about this on Joe Rogan's podcast about the crystal skulls. And then again, of course, he promotes his crystal skull vodka too.
Oh, that's right. Hey, dude, we should have had some of that here on the show, so we could have drank some.
Yeah.
Crystal Skull vodka.
You gotta pick one of those up one day.
Yeah, I mean that would be a nice little display to have here. But yeah, Carlitos. I mean, there's also the would you consider the Aztec calendar like a relic? Not really, huh? That's just a calendar.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. What's the definition of a relic, right?
That's
Is it
true.
something small you carry with you, or just something that people just think has some sort of historical importance?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So, what else, Carlitos? What else do you have for us?
More of the Catholic Church relics, and how about? Let's see. Here we go. Technical difficulties.
You know what I know that there's certain statues that supposedly like cry or some of that bleed. Would those be considered like relics?
I guess so, but I wouldn't really talk about those too much. It went over my head on those again, but something in the back of my mind says maybe those are fake or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody stuck a little tube in the back and they're pumping some sort of liquid out there, but who knows? Maybe some people have seen it actually. So I can't really say much because I didn't do much report on that.
Yeah.
But I would like to see that one day. Go over there and take a few pictures and video and witness that for myself.
I know. That would be cool.
But something relatable to that would probably be the miraculous image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and that's the image that appeared on was it Juan Diego's clothing?
That's right.
I guess he had a vision, right?
I thought you were gonna like bust out the whole thing. Remember there was a time, I think like 10 years ago, where the image of the Virgin was appearing on everything, on tortillas and remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that? But anyways, yeah. So that one's actually real then.
To cover, right?
So that one's actually real. The whole that.
Yeah, supposedly they have it. The Catholic Church has that.
And there's images online of that?
Yeah, it's I think it's called La Tilma. Yeah, it's supposedly virtually indestructible. The area, I forget the name of the building where the image is. Someone tried to destroy it, and there was a big explosion, and everything inside was pretty much lost. Things were blown to smithereens. Metal candlesticks were bent back. But that actual image still stayed intact with no burns, no breaks, or anything.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's cool. That would be cool to like actually see in person.
Oh yeah, it was a crucifix that got twisted and bent back by the blast.
Oh, okay.
So wow, that's cool. So that'll be pretty neat. And supposedly, I guess on this image, there would have been a lot of fakes in the past too that would try to recreate it. And this is probably one of the ones that's interesting because all those other fakes that were made around the same time or afterwards, they've all faded. The colors and whatever was used, the ink has faded over fade over time, where this image is just there, still strong, still ever so vibrant.
Yeah. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. But anyways, getting back to Indiana Jones. Yeah,
It's an excellent subject.
yeah, you know what? I wonder if there's actually, is there people like that, like Indiana Jones? Because I want to be one of them.
What made Indiana Jones so special, especially for me, being a kid, even as an adult, watching the movies, is that I think it could have not have been a better time period than when he was Indiana Jones, which is in the 1930s, 1936, 1940s. On that time, there was a lot of exploring around the ancient tombs of Egypt, the Amazon. There were a lot of adventurers out there back in the day, and they were getting on their cool little, caravans, whether it's camels or old pickup trucks, and they were flying in old planes. So something about that just catches my attention. And going into an area where there's nothing, it's just undiscovered mind ruins. So I don't think that could be done nowadays as well as it was, or now in this present time as it was back in the 30s.
And you know what I'm surprised about the whole Indiana Jones thing, especially because they were made by who? George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, right?
Steven Spielberg. Mm-hmm.
What I'm surprised is that knowing Steven Spielberg though with the whole Jurassic Park, why didn't he ever make a Indiana Jones looking for like some kind of like dinosaur, like a lost dinosaur underground or something? You know how there's a whole story that supposedly some people believe that there's dinosaurs still like under the earth, like underground, in caves and stuff. So I'm surprised they never mixed those two together. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like look for some some rare lost dinosaur that nobody's seen before or something.
Yeah.
It's I think it's the beer talking now because I'm just going off the rails. But yeah, Carlitos, why don't we talk about
the coronavirus?
Yeah, the coronavirus getting to me. But yeah, why don't we get to the big one?
Sure. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. That's one of my favorite movies too.
Now, before we start talking about it, would this be considered a relic? Because no one at present has seen it or seen any kind of recent picture of it or video, because it's pretty much either lost or you're not allowed to look at it.
Yeah, but you know what? Before we even talk about that, would Noah's Ark be considered a relic? Because I don't know if you remember. I think it was in the 80s where they were looking for Noah's Ark, and they even have pictures where they could see on top of a mountain, like a little box or something. Would that be considered a relic, the Noah's Ark? Because you know what? If they found Noah's Ark, that would kind of like, prove, be like 100% proof that the Bible is real.
Yeah. So right here it says an object surviving from an earlier time, especially one of historical or sentimental interest, would be considered a relic. So yeah.
So that would be a relic.
It can be found. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know what? I wonder if some of these things, because I don't know if you know this, but a while back there was a thing where they had found these ancient scripts in the Red Sea, and they never released the information of what's on these scripts. And one of the reasons supposedly was that because they don't want people to know about certain things that are written about like now of our time. So I'm wondering if maybe some of these things are just being hidden from us to kind of like not give 100% proof of that is the Bible real, is the Bible fake, is kind of thing.
Right. Whatever they may be thinking about, it's like they can either dismiss it and say it's something that doesn't belong within the Bible's stories, or it could be something that other people might find threatening. That's going to threaten our religion. We don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, because imagine if they did say, oh, you know what, we have what we're going to talk about right now, the Ark. Like if they said, oh yeah, we have the Ark, and look, and you could open it and look inside, and then people are like, wait a second, the Bible said that you couldn't look at it and all this stuff. So then I guess in that case, people would be like, oh, so the Bible's kind of more like a fairy tale. It's just over, but.
Yeah, that is true. It all depends on the mission of that certain belief or what it wants to do with these relics. and a lot of these religions don't want you to see something or whatever because they want you to have that whole fear of God. Where other religions, they're like, oh, that's not important. The real thing is just to believe in Jesus, and you and him are the connection. Yeah.
What did you find out about the Ark, Carlitos?
So we all know that Moses built or had the Ark built, right? And what is the Ark? Is this box, right, made out of is it acacia wood or some sort of wood that grew naturally there in that area where Moses was from, and also gold. Mm-hmm. And this box is supposed to be pretty much kind of like the embodiment of God on earth. Yeah. And this is the way Moses would communicate with God through the Ark. And of course, only Moses can talk to him. And when it was moved from one area to the next, it had to be carried with these posts going through these. I believe there are about 4 golden rings, and the wood went through there, and no one was supposed to touch it, because if you touch it, you'd be killed.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And if you even look at it, if you're not worthy, you would be also killed by.
Yeah, that would be like if you looked inside of it, right? What did it have inside?
Not entirely. If you looked at it, if you're not worthy, you can either get boils, you can get you can become a leper, or you just die. And what's inside? It was supposedly what's inside of the Ark is the 10 Commandments of Moses.
Oh, that's right.
The 10 Commandments of Moses, Moses' brother's staff. And I believe some sort of there's another object in there. I don't think it was oil. It was another jar or something. But there's other things that supposedly went there from other stories. But those are the 3 things that I can remember right now.
That's crazy.
And of course, you're not allowed to open it. Indiana Jones, you're not supposed to open it.
Yeah, we saw what happened to those Nazis.
No, there's not just sand in there. Okay, it's something else.
Yeah, but I mean, again, like it could come down to the whole thing of some people might say, well, you know what, maybe this Ark was real, but it was used to control all these people, like saying, oh, we have like some super box here, and we talk to God through it, and don't touch it, and it creates this whole thing where people are like, oh man, this must be real, and it would even work today.
yeah in a way. I mean,
I think it would even work more now, because with the technology we have, we can make all these open all these lasers be shooting out of it and stuff.
Well, what's really interesting is that there's actually been some people talking. There's a couple of people that have been talking about the Ark, and because of the way it was made out of gold, and which is I guess it's a good conductor of electricity, and because it had that special wood, which is a good insulator, that people were dying not because of God, because maybe this was actually used as a battery or a large capacitor, that the energy was stored in there somehow, and people were getting zapped. Yeah. And that's another theory from people that don't take that religious view.
I told you, I think maybe, there was people back in the day that were really advanced of stuff that we don't understand now, because what I'm thinking is humanity went a whole different way with technology, and I'm pretty sure there's multiple paths to acquire, some kind of energy and power. So, I mean, that'd be cool. I mean, if we could create our own Ark. Oh wait, no, it's not an Ark. It's that Ark. But yeah, you know what? I've read online about that. Supposedly, some people believe that the church actually has the Ark.
The Ark,
and it's put away.
Okay. It's put away. Some of the theories is that it was the last time it was seen was, I think, in Solomon's temple, and that's where they have the stone. I forget what it's called. I think it's called the foundation stone. And right there in the Solomon's temple, it was the foundation stone was built on top of it. The temple was built on top of the foundation stone, and right there supposedly is where all life came from that stone. And the Ark was kept there, and the city was under siege, and they kind of had a little heads up, so they moved the Ark there and put it somewhere else, a cave or who knows where. But that was the last time it was heard from. Now, supposedly, there's a couple of years ago that people did research, and one of the things that people are believing is that it might be in Ethiopia, and there's some Orthodox priests there, I believe, that worship the. I want to say the Catholicism. They have that ark there.
Oh, okay. But you know what? I've
no
seen. Go ahead.
And what's fascinating is that no one can go in or out. The monks or whatever these priests are, they can only be inside. They can never come out. So in other words, they're trained, they're raised, and they live inside this temple, and they're not allowed to come out, and they all have to be virgins. And what happens over time of taking care of this ark is that after many years, they have, well, not many years, because what happens is that they have a low lifespan and they develop cataracts because of the power of the ark.
But you know what? I've seen. I think that they've in the movie, the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Mm-hmm.
I think when they made the actual ark that they use in the film, they did it according. I think I saw one of the, not the documentaries, but behind the scenes, and I think George Lucas wanted the ark to be like replicated exactly the way the Bible says it was made. So I mean, it's pretty cool where they have these like the two. I don't know if all the viewers, if you haven't seen Indiana Jones, go check it out. But they have these the two angels, right, that are like kind of like with their wings over the ark.
The cherubims. Yeah, you don't see their face, but they're going like this, and they're pointing at each other.
Yeah, and those were made out of gold, right?
It's all made out of gold, and where the wings, the tips of the wings are, that's where I was telling you earlier, where God comes and speaks to Moses.
That's the thing. I don't know. I keep on going back to the whole thing of thinking that they had some kind of technology. I mean, this could have been some kind of conductor, like right in the center between the wings or something. Some kind of device like a walkie-talkie to talk to God.
When you run an electrical charge when you have like that circuit and you want to close it, what is it called when the electricity jumps from one end to the other?
It arcs.
The other end. Yeah, there you go. See?
Yeah. Yeah.
It goes back to the whole battery theory.
Yeah, and I mean, theory. And it kind of goes back to the whole alien theory. What if, a God or the aliens, they're on the ship, on the mothership, and that's how they were communicating.
Yeah.
And then, there was another part, I think I talked about this on one of the previous episodes where when they were in the walking through the desert for 40 years, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And God would feed them, like he would drop food from the sky, from the heavens. Hey, UFO dropping cargo. I don't know. You never know. That would be. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you start putting the puzzle together. Yeah, it's the corona. If you start thinking about it and trying to put the puzzle together, it kind of makes sense. The whole energy thing, the communication, food falling from the sky. I don't know. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's just your interpretation.
Yeah. I have nothing against religion. But yeah, Carlito. So what else?
It is a fascinating subject.
It is. And I don't know if you saw this. They showed it not too long ago where they found this city underground too. Did you see that? Where some divers were underwater, not underwater, and they found like a city where all these stones were and it looks like they're laser cut. And supposedly they also saw some stuff that some kind of the same thing like with the ark, where there's certain parts of these stones that have that look like they have some kind of shape that looks like almost like a machine, but it's made out of rock. So
okay. So was that? So they were cut with lasers. You can tell they were.
No, well, that's what they think, because the thing is the way it's built, it's too perfect.
Underwater too.
Underwater. Well, I mean, what they're thinking is that those cities they sunk underwater.
Okay.
But I mean, even when they were, above water, it just seems impossible to do, because it's almost like if they got a mountain and laser cut the mountain into a shape. How would you do that back in the day? I mean, even now that would be, pretty crazy.
And that's kind of I started thinking okay, so that's laser cut and that's below the water. Then you have the Mayans, and that's way above land, and you have almost the same thing, perfect stones, cut to perfection to build these almost pretty much mathematically correct level sites.
Yeah.
That's great.
We can't debunk that one, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
Some honorable mentions of relics would be the Holy Lance, also known as the Spear of Destiny. That's the spear that gave the final blow to Jesus Christ when he was on the cross. One of the soldiers stabbed him with
oh, that's
it,
right.
And,
that's right. That was to make sure if he was dead or something, right?
Mm-hmm. And the blood came out, and I guess it went on the soldier. The blood went on the soldier, and he became, enlightened, and he became a believer of God.
Mm-hmm.
So this spear was lost, and I believe Hitler was looking for it. And there's some rumors or not. Maybe he did use it early on in his campaigns to defeat a lot of these Eastern European countries in order to get more power.
Oh.
And supposedly, if you have this relic, you have just like what I mentioned with Hitler, you have the power to pretty much defeat any enemy that you have.
Yeah. Well, Hitler was a big believer in all that stuff, right? The occult and all that.
Oh yeah. Religion, dark science, anything like that.
Yeah, I think there was a thing also that I read online that he even like did Ouija board sessions and stuff.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember very clearly right now, but yeah. I mean,
that was also the Spirit of Destiny was featured in the Keanu Reeves movie. So he was.
That's right.
Constantine, yes, the DC character, and in that movie, it's in Mexico where they're excavating, and this man finds the spear buried in the ground somewhere. I'm not sure where exactly it is, but he takes it out, and it's covered in a Nazi flag, and he has the spear, and he grabs it, and suddenly he feels like he has to go somewhere, and he runs, and he's running really fast, gets hit by a car, nothing happens to him. And as he moves through different areas, crops and animals are dying. Well, until he eventually meets up with his goal is to bring the son of the devil.
Oh, that's right.
To Earth.
That's right. Yeah. I gotta watch that movie again. That was a good movie.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good movie. I've only seen it once. Can you believe that? And I like this. So I want to watch it again.
You know what? I actually saw that in theaters when it came out, and it blew me away. And then I own it now. I watched it a few times. But I think the last time I watched it was like 2 years ago.
2 years ago. He supposedly Keanu Reeves wants to do a sequel to that.
Yeah, they were supposed to make a sequel, but I don't know. It might be the same thing like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It's gonna take like 20 years to make a sequel. Well, actually, Bill and Ted already has I believe 2 movies, right? So there's gonna be like a third one, or
this will be the third one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
shout out to Keanu Reeves.
Excellent.
Yeah, but yeah, Carlitos. Did you have any other relics, or that's it?
Oh, that's it. I mean, those are the biggest ones. There are other ones that are kind of minor. There actually do exist. The actual relic is an actual physical relic, but the one I want to talk about briefly because it's all right. It's called the blood of Saint Januarius, and what it is, it's this little vial of the saint. His blood is in this little vial, and this little vial is in this kind of enclosed crystal or little tiny little round window with a large metal. I guess like a what would you call it? Kind of looks like a hand mirror with a crown on top, but it's all made of metal. It's dazzled up, made to look really fancy.
Oh, okay.
And they use it to for ceremonial purposes. I believe it's a Catholic Church, and they bless people with it and all that. And it has a little bit of, like I mentioned, the blood inside. Sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's liquefied. And when it changes, that's when you should be worried about what's going to happen in the world. It could be something tragic, or maybe it'll be a warning, or it could be just a time of peace, depending if the blood is hard or if the blood is liquefied.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty much been say that this has told us that there was a large earthquake where it was last time, and it destroyed a bunch of buildings. It pretty much called out that a lot of bad things were going to happen with war, and supposedly that's what this thing has the power of, is knowing when good things are going to happen, when bad things are going to happen.
And who has this? Who has this?
I think it's the Roman Catholics have this.
That's crazy.
And it's I should put some pictures up of them. That way people can see what the relics we're talking about, what they look like.
Yeah. Hopefully throughout this episode you'll see the you'll see like the arc.
A little bit of Bill and Ted's too.
A little bit of Constantine.
And
Carlitos. But you know what? I think for today's episode we're done. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, that's pretty good. The arc of the Covenant was the one I really wanted to get to. And there's a lot more that I want to talk about. So maybe you might make a sequel and we'll talk a little bit more about the arc.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm out of beer, so that means the episode's done. But anyways, yeah. So you know what? I think I was talking to Carlos. Changing the subject now. I think we're gonna be making a. Are we still gonna be doing a midweek episode, or what do you think, Carlitos?
I would love to do either a midweek episode and just something similar to what we're doing now, but
yeah.
Actually, I don't know if I should say this or not.
Say it. Just say it.
Two channels.
Yeah.
One with the serious investigations, going out and interviewing people within the paranormal. What do you call it? Vicinity. What do you want to call it? And put that on Fridays. Get it out. People want to watch that. They're very interested in that. And we're thinking about putting a funny, somewhat nonsensical, right, episode in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
Something like this, but taking it to the next level.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is right now when we're done filming this episode, we might still hang out and do that midweek episode right now to see how it goes. And if you guys could give us some feedback, like some comments, if you like it, or because we're kind of like trying to figure out where this YouTube channel is going. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and anything you want to plug, or any last comments before we
just to reiterate
finish episode 19.
Just to reiterate on the two shows, I definitely, just to say it again, I want to keep the original format and save that for the end of the week, and just be very focused on the no nonsense, go out, have fun, but also get the information out and do the EVPs, but also put a little bit of fun in during the week.
Yeah,
and we'll probably keep it on the same
same channel. I mean, at least for now, and then we'll see what happens. So I mean, be expecting another episode in the middle of the week, but it's not going to be so much paranormal. I think it's going to be more like more silly, fun kind of just hang out, and you guys could have a couple of drinks with us while you're watching the video.
Right. Maybe even have some live streaming too while we're doing that also.
That would be cool. Or make some phone calls and have some people, talk to some people about, But anyways, So is that it, Carlitos? Anything else?
Yes. Dominic's Pizza. Awesome.
Dominic's Pizza.
Very good pizza.
Dominic's Pizza and Keanu Reeves. And Indiana Jones. Yeah. But anyways, guys, well, you know what? Thanks for watching again, and
thank you.
We'll see you guys next week on oh my god, I can't believe it's gonna be episode 20.
Yeah, the big 2-0.
Whoa, I can't believe we made it this far.
we'll be legal with 2 more episodes.
I know. But anyways, guys, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.